Summoner's Rift.
All right, we jump straight into Summoner's Rift. No break needed. Thank you again to Shivam, who's going to be on production tonight for these two games.
Minions
As
have
we see pretty
spawned.
standard lanes. Looks like things are pretty good for now. I'm expecting Matrix and A-Hop to get early push on the bot lane of Womanphobia, but we're going to have to see if they can make a difference here.
Yeah, I mean, like taking a look at the setup for both of these teams, nothing too surprising, I would say. I mean, you do see that Feral Eevee does have first strike, so I mean, like when it comes to Ari specifically, I do think that it might be a bit of a crapshoot, just because like as Veigar, you might be able to get your hit in, so you can proc that first strike. Oh, yeah, there you go, there it is, right
Okay,
there.
nice use of the first strike. We get value.
10 gold, man. Yeah, that's it.
10 gold.
Feral Eevee is just like, okay, you know, I won my lane. It's an instrumental gold difference. But otherwise, you know, the setup's nothing too surprising from both of these teams. It looks like relatively standard across everybody. I am just gonna keep my eye on Contiguous here on this hand, just because like I don't really like I don't see much of the champion to begin with. And nope, we're seeing
Oh wait, already level 2 aggression,
level
gets
2.
that Tidecaller's Blessing. Matrix is running Lucci down with the Gatling gun. That is exactly what we talked about, True. That is the power of the Corki Nami with that guaranteed slow into the shred, into the autos. Big damage, winning trade for the bot lane of the Everstone Elite.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the slow, right? It's also Nami's own passive giving whoever she buffs up hits with an ability all that movement speed. And it just creates that double up effect because you have the slow plus the movement speed. So Corki just hard runs you down. And there's just not much that Lucci and MQB are going to be able to do this early. You kind of just have to eat the damage and hope you don't fall too far behind, but just farm under your turret. And I feel like that was a bit of an inefficient use of an ability right there from MQB, just throwing out the shield for the heck of it, it felt like. Because now you don't have that cooldown available to you. Shield didn't get a whole ton of value, but it's a really small thing to harp on, and that's pretty much definitionally nitpicking at that point. But when you are in a matchup where every mistake can be like so meaningful because you're just hard countered in your lane, you don't want to be using your cooldowns or your mana inefficiently, because that's just such a good opportunity for a hard punish. And I feel like from what we've seen from Matrix and a hop so far, like they're more than willing to do that. You're in top lane though, Promech getting a little bit aggressive.
Scrapping, Promech hitting the Abyssal Dive, doing decent damage. Matrix Falcon again very aggressively. MQB used the shield on themselves. That means that Lucci gets hit with the awkward prison. Big damage on them. I think this is going to have to be a back from Lucci. I don't know if they'll be able to, the bot lane of Everstone will be able to crash in fast enough for the dive, but the wave is pushing back towards them, so this is a pretty great situation they put themselves in. Getting that aggression, the minions are going to push back onto Everstone Elite's side, so that means, yeah, they're going to be able to pick up a wave later, and yeah, a lot of minions and XP lost for the side of Womanphobia.
Yeah, and that just goes from bad to worse for that bot lane, and, you know, we did just see another, like, example of, I just want to say, like, improper usage of your shield as Lulu there. And granted, like, let's say you do land the shield as Lulu. Is Lucci in that much of a, like, significantly better position? No, you're still in a rough one. But, like, having to get that back off that early, like, losing out on, you know, let's say, additional almost 2 waves of CS, it's not going to feel very good for you. Top lane, you know, we are definitionally in a wet noodle fight, although you can see here Reginald Dwight struggling to secure a bit more CS than I think he would be comfortable with, as Promech is having a reasonably healthy lead so far. Mid lane, also a bit of a wash, although we did see Contiguous show up in that mid lane, try to spook the Veigar, spook Feral Eevee away, but not really much to be had out of it. Both of these teams, it kind of just feels like they're playing at parity, because there aren't many, at least for top lane and mid lane, like these two champions, like these matchups aren't going to be all that interactive, although we can see Promech getting
Reginald dodging the tongue lash, dodges the slow. Can he get another knock up with the decimating smash? Ooh, Roar of the Slayer barely misses, won't get the slow, but Promech getting forced out by Reginald, who I think will appreciate this free time to, you know, catch up back in farm. Promech does have the TP to get back, but like you were saying, True, these two teams are at parity, but when I look at the team comps, right, I would much rather have an on parity Sion and Veigar compared to an Ahri or Tahm Kench or even Zahen that aren't ahead, right? Like, yes, Zahen does scale well, but Ahri, I feel like, is one of those champions. Same with, you know, this kind of Bruiser Tahm Kench style that you really need something to get going if you want to play the game you want to, because you are kind of leveraging those angles. You have to be a little bit ahead in goal.
Might be looking for a gank here.
Yeah, Conguito's looking for this. Feral Eevee dodges out from that dreaded return, but it's still going to burn the flash to get out of the charm. So Feral Eevee burns the flash, but time wasted by Conguitos means the dragon is picked up by Everstone Elite at just under 6 minutes. So a pretty early start to the drag stacking.
I've been getting the name wrong this entire time. That's my bad. I'm sorry. But otherwise, you know, bot lane now continuing to be a
bot lane continues polymorph onto the Corki, but still he's spraying out big damage to them. Half health some, but Matrix is actually taken pretty low. Now Lucci is running down the Nami for the trade damage. I mean, the big thing is that MQB and Lucci both used the summoners, and Nami and Corki did not, right? Barrier and heal still available for them.
Yeah, and Lucci does have double mobility, right? So having Ghost as well as having Flash is going to give you maybe a bit more maneuverability. Oh, wait. Guidos and the Fool have run
Yeah, I don't know if the
together.
Fool actually wants to take this scrap Conguitos. Yeah, it's already level 6, and the Skarner is not. He is pretty much on parity with items. Can this Decimating Smash hit, though? Big knockup does big damage to the Zahen into the Flash ultimate, but the Devourer keeps him safe. The Fool now getting charged up, taken very low, who has to flash out themselves. The Zahen pops the ultimate for the damage, and his first blood over to the Ahri. Feral Eevee is fully healthy, but they just don't have the damage, and Resident Dwight does go down to the Ahri for a double kill. Now Promech on the chase for Feral Eevee. I don't think he can get much more, but that defense of the red buff did not go well for the Everstone Elite, as this Skarner was just not level 6 yet, could not use the Impale to turn around the fight, and it goes in the favor of Womanphobia.
Yeah, that slight delay between Reginald flashing over the wall and looking for the unstoppable onslaught gave Promech enough time to get that consume down, save Conguitos in a relatively dicey situation. They come away with a 2-0 because Very Talented was able to get there a little bit faster than Feral Eevee, I think. That's kind of all the meaning in the world for them. They needed something to get ahead early, and the Ahri is certainly a target that can do that. Top lane here is... This is just another white Widow fight. There's still Flash.
I mean, Ritual could kill him here if Promech doesn't time it properly. He doesn't have the Abyssal Dive for a very long time. That cooldown is long. Flash out, gets the stun with the Tongue Lash, so Reginald does burn the flash from Promech. Can't flash to follow, but yeah, good trade to Sums. Like you said, True, a still topside fight does go to the side of Womanphobia. Maybe this will be a dive from the Fool, though.
I mean, I do think that it's a pretty ideal opportunity to look for it. You know that the Yunara doesn't have any summoners. The Lulu only has the flash available, and there's the tidal wave.
Lucci gets hit with the tidal wave into the... Actually, no wall knock, but it doesn't matter.
Lulu
Impale actually hits him while he's still polymorph, but MQB actually gets enough damage because Corki was tanking the turret. Matrix does pick up a kill. It does go down, and it goes over to Lucci, which is pretty big. So a 2-for-1 in the bot side. Zahen was not able to make it fast enough, but still a pretty winning play for the side of Everstone Elite, but a bit of the juggling of the tower aggro means that Corki goes down.
Yeah, I think what happened there is that, ideally, obviously, you want the Skarner to start the tank off, but I think the auto attack, or maybe Skarner's boulder throw, just wasn't quite in range. And Corki is the one who ended up grabbing the aggro for it. I think, objectively, the worst person to grab the aggro in that situation, so it turns very positive play into a somewhat neutral one. So I do feel like the Everstone Elite, off of that, they aren't panicking all that much. You're just one kill down as far as everything is concerned. Yes, top lane's at a bit of a deficit, so is jungle slightly. Mid lane, though, as Veigar, I think you're relatively unbothered. You did die, sure, but you are playing a very heavily scaling champion, and you can really see that reflected in Feral Eevee's build, going for the Roa, having that catalyst in the inventory. So the guy should be relatively comfortable with just sitting back, farming, letting things go. Obviously, you don't want your laning opponent to get too far ahead, but I also think Very Talented with that 2-0 lead is relatively happy with how it is, just because you have all those potions in your inventory. Oh, wait. Promech, a little bit aggressive. You're really just not seeing much. I'm hyping that.
Yeah, I think this Promech going for the 2 Giants belts means it's likely going to be the Heartsteel, like you mentioned. No Dusk and Dawn, at least until second item. But like you said, I mean, Veigar did finish the Rod of Ages as TP's back, but I'm pretty sure it's just Feral Eevee's job to not, lose any more gold because, the gold is at parity. It's just about like a 200 gold lead for the side of the Womanphobia, which is kind of negligible once you get into the late game compared to all like the bonus stats you're getting from the Veigar and the Scion. And Skarner actually does scale pretty well, not as well as Zahen on items, but once he gets a couple, he's pretty hard to kill, especially if Yunara is set behind, which is what Everstone Elite are doing pretty well. Promech and Reginald still scrapping in the top side. I mean, Promech is winning these trades and setting Reginald pretty low, actually. Gets the Devour for that max health damage. Can he get the Execute, though? Reginald Dwight now running away, pops the ultimate. Can he drift it around the wall? He does not. He runs straight into the wall. Call it driver's ed because Reginald needs to take it. As the Abyssal Dive misses, Reginald trying to kite it out. He hits the teleport, but no, he does not channel it fast enough. I think it's still at 8 seconds, so maybe he forgot about that. That is a solo kill over to the Tahm Kench, as we see in the bottom lane. Polymorph use, the shield use, Aqua Prison misses. Feral Eevee taking some big damage from Talented as Zahen's moving towards this dragon. The bot lane has priority, but the mid lane for Womanphobia is here. Now the TP comes out. The Fool looking for Talented, who gets the charm into the stun, though, into the cage. Very Talented take it very low. The ulti is invested by the Veigar. Zahen pops the ultimate, gets some healing, gets some damage, and it is Feral Eevee who has to flash out. Matrix now getting run down by Lucci. I think this fight is over to the side of the Womanphobia because they're going to secure Dragon, but they are going to get this kill on the Ahri if Ahab doesn't die to it. Yeah, it's just going to walk up, get some autos with the Scorch. So, I mean, Dragon stacking stopped for the Ahri. That's a decent trade because that does mean that Matrix is pushed out of lane as well. Lucci has time to catch back up, and it was that advantage that Promech got for the team, right? Solo killing the Scion, and that the teleport could not be matched. Good play from them to, turn it around for their team.
Yeah, it's just a bit perplexing for me, at least as far as the top lane goes. It's just to see Scion just continuously eating damage, but also knowing that you're in a bad position there, you probably just can't commit your ultimate anymore. Still chooses to do so, but then with the TP as well, I'm still kind of hung up on that.
Feral Eevee flashes. Conquitos uses the flash to get on top of him. Likely has the knock up. The charm hits a minion, but he gets the knock up, gets the pullback with the dreaded return. The Eclipse, the Event Horizon will do nothing as Talented doesn't pick that one up. It's Conquitos who collects the money for that. The Stride Breaker Power Spike being very good for the gank. No flash on Veigar means that's money collected for Conquitos, but they did have to invest the flash. But I mean, that is exactly what you want to see out of Zahen on first item.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel pretty good to just get that Orate Rush and then proc your Stride Breaker, get that the AoE slow off, and then there's really nothing that the Veigar can do, especially being down flash already, and we saw that flash get forced out, I believe, by the Zahen in the previous fight using the Grim Deliverance. So very good from Conquitos to just know, okay, continue to punish this Veigar. The Roa is not stacked yet. He's not really as strong as that I need to be worrying a whole ton. But we're kind of back into the situation where things are going to feel relatively at parity, right? We are seeing a slight gold lead in the favor of Womanphobia, but as we were talking about before, the scaling over time that is going to play into what the Everstone Elite want for themselves with this Scion, with this Veigar, is still not all that worrisome. And then you're also trying to factor in the fact that this Corki is going to hit pretty hard. Corki is a champion who I think that you can certainly say, oh, he's chipping me, he's doing a little bit of damage here and there, and then he hits 3 items and it's okay, well, 30% of my HP is down, just gone off of the crit.
Yeah.
It's extremely potent to deal with.
Oh, Valkyrie with the Tidecaller's Blessing. Big damage on the Lucci. Can they get the kill here? Lucci invests the ultimate to get out. Shoots back the laser for the slow. Now MQB taking big damage. The combination of the Power Spike, the Triforce, and the Imperial Mandate is big. Conquitos now pull this gank, but the counter gank from the Skarner. Tidal Wave hits, but it's buffered by that ultimate. Grim Deliverance making sure that Conquitos is safe, but it is a scrap in the bottom lane because both mid laners went here as well. The Fool maybe looking for an Impale here. Don't think they're going to get it, but Lucci is forced out. MQB does invest the heal. I think Lucci's going to have to go back, and that does mean more plates, more farm, more advantage for the bot side of Everstone Elite, which I think is what they need to play around for this mid game.
Yeah, and you're really seeing that, oh, top lane.
Okay.
A bit of a slap around fight. I don't think this is going to be the Promech gets a solo kill situation quite yet. Just to draw attention. To the gold, right? The solo lanes for the Everstone Elite are not doing fantastically, right? You can see that Reginald Dwight is 700 down, Feral Eevee like almost 1,000 down, but then it's a reverse situation down here for the bot
Oh my
lane.
god, look at the damage from Matrix, who's just turning it
macking
on
around.
Oh my god, the Rocket Barrage doing so much damage to MQB, who's taken a half health already. Did not reset off the past one. So does have that first item, and Yunara now has the Blade of the Rune King, which means that they can match a little bit more, but man, the turn is just so powerful from the Corki Nami. I think they're looking for more, as Ahop's just sitting in the bush. Corki is there, Tidal Wave is not available yet. Will they go for something? The wave is pushing back into them, as yeah, that extra attention, the winning lane on the top side means that Zahen's able to pick up the Rift Herald, but yeah, it looks like, I mean, feel like all of the action has been on this bottom lane here, True.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like it. That is the lane where Everstone.
Valkyrie and MQB slowed down. Has to pop the Wild Growth. But nice bubble onto Lucci. Now Tidal Wave chasing down MQB, who has the flash, but he still gets sniped by the Missile Barrage. And now the TP is being matched. Promech getting the rundown on Matrix. Has a lot of help, a lot of stats. Now Feral Eevee coming in. Can he get the Event Horizon? The ulti from the Scions for the knockup as well. Doesn't get the full channel. Can't reach up as Promech flashes away. Now it's 4 people in this bot side. And very talented trying to match. Can they get the Demolish proc on this turret to break it down? I don't think so. Talented gets the wave clear. Promech invests the TP to watch his team die, so still a purely positive play on the side of Everstone Elite. And yeah, I mean, this Corki is going to be massive coming into this mid-game.
Yeah, and that's what I was really saying. You know, this Corki is now, you know, 1,600 gold over the Yunara, and you're really starting to see that expressed. With that completed Triforce, it's just a better spike than the early Bork, at least in this circumstance. And I also feel like the Bork for Yunara here, we are seeing that Lucci and Conguidos actually might come away with that first turret off he used in the Rift Herald, and they will. But I feel like the Bork is also partially a reaction to that health stacking, right? You see a Scion on the enemy team, hey, they get another Shard, that's pretty good. You see the health stacking, you see the Scion, you see the Skarner with the Heartsteel, you even see the Veigar with the Roa in the inventory. So I think that the Bork is partially a way of like, hey, we need something to slice through that health stacking. You also think about how LDR has the Giant Slayer passive again. So perhaps that is what Lucci is going to be itemizing towards, just trying to address the large health pools that those champions on the side of Everstone Elite are going to be bringing to the table here. But that also means that Matrix is more than happy to just continue working with Ahop and just going straight into that Lulu and that Yunara and having pretty much nothing to worry about for the time. I feel like a point of pain for Lucci has got to be that single stack on the call in the inventory.
Wait, Matrix maybe looking for this on this recall in the bush. Matrix goes in with the Valk, big damage onto Talented, who hits the charm. Lucci trying to disengage with the Fidget Spinner, and as we see, the Spirit Rush is invested, but now Ahop getting jumped on, has to flash out as Conguidos makes his entrance. Talented burned the ulti, but so did Ahop on the flash and the heal. So the Fool now looking for an engage. Can they get the Impale? They hit one, gets Polymorph, they hit with the laser, but Lucci just does no damage. Now Conguidos running away, gets it with the Event Horizon into the flash. Wow, Impale actually gets buffered. Nice ulti there from the Zahen to get away. Has to still flash. As we see mid lane, they're scrapping, they're fighting, but no kills on either side just yet. It is getting dicey for both teams, as we see now in the bottom lane, Scion getting ulted on. Reginald taken quite low, doesn't have much mana, getting minion blocked actually. Promech doing big damage. Flash out invested from Reginald to not die, but wow, the minions really screwed over his teammate there.
Oh man, like you can almost hear the comms like screaming, like, why is this happening to me right now? Like, what are my minions doing? Reginald able to commit the flash to stay alive in that situation, but as you were talking about with that mid lane fight, shockingly no one dies. It all gets initially kicked off by Feral Eevee and Ahop looking for that RE, forcing out the Spirit Rush, as you said. But luckily for Very Talented, you did have Lucci there, as well as Conguidos, to come through and make sure that the RE stays alive. They can have a little bit of threat. But shockingly, the Fool, trying to commit that Impale, trying to yoink the Zahen away. And the Zahen able to just buffer out of it. Is kind of shocking because you just don't see that all too often, but we've seen it twice already with Conguidos so far in this game, and like this fight, or like this game so far, is delicate between both of these teams. Like the neutral objectives are close. I don't think they're quite even, because I believe it's Rift Herald and Grubs having been taken. You're also 3 dragons, but this is tense. Like, it really feels like both teams, they want to find an opportunity for themselves, but neither of them have really found anything tone setting for the game. They do have things that they're strong that they're trying to play around, but both teams are just looking for that moment to happen where they can start breaking away and start really generating a better lead. This is rough for Reginald's life. This is just...
Reginald's just getting slapped down. I don't think he can really fight this because Promech just has, a lot of damage with the Tongue Lash dealing that percentage. And Reginald just doesn't really have the tools to fight it at this point because Tahm Kench is, pretty far ahead in gold and experience. I think that's a whole level. But maybe Ahop can hit the Aqua Prison, does big damage, but Matrix not in range to capitalize on it. Promech now roaming towards the mid lane. Ahop in range for the Tongue Lash, gets slowed down. Abyssal Dive a little bit far, but Ahop doesn't have flash to get out. Misses the Aqua Prison, is going to get run down by that dreaded return. Goes down to Promech as Matrix has to Valk out. There's just better movement, better macro so far from Woman Phobia to take the fights and get the pick on the flashless members. Now Matrix trying to defend this. Promech is in the wings looking for something. Okay, it looks like nothing's going to happen other than just the pick on the Nami, but good, initiative from the side of Woman Phobia to know that the Nami had no flash and they could get that picking because they've been so aggressive with this Corki Nami duo.
Yeah, and it's a good grab. Unfortunately for the side of Woman Phobia, as you said, they aren't able to transition it into really anything meaningful on the map. Dragon is now up in 45 seconds, and I think ideally, if you really wanted to set up for Dragon after killing the Nami, it's around now when you would have wanted to get that kill, but the Fool might be in a bit of trouble.
Wait, yeah, the Fool maybe has range for the Impale as we see Abyssal Dive missing. Impale just onto the one guy as we see the Fool taken very low, is about to go down. Can Lucci get the kill? Nice Event Horizon onto 3 members, does big damage. Matrix firing back as Promech uses the Devour to save the Yunara. Reginald now in here with the mix, dealing some damage but tanking a lot as Concretos is just ripping them apart. There's no focus into the Grim Deliverance for big damage. Ahop walks out. Reginald is likely going to go down. The Fool goes down and the team fight is going for Woman Phobia as Promech flashes in, goes down to the Primordial Burst as Reginald tries to make something happen in the zombie form. It is just 2 meatballs getting cooked by the side of Woman Phobia as they just don't have the damage, don't have the target access because the Zahen is making so much space on that 2-item power spike, and that's going to secure the Dragon for Woman Phobia, making it so that's 2-2. Mid lane turret goes down for the Everstone Elite. They're picking up a bit of gold there, but it's looking like the team fights are getting increasingly difficult for Everstone Elite to play. This Zahen is going to be a big problem in the late game.
Yeah, and I think it's really about the commitment of resources.
Wait, engage on. Lucci using the big rocket, but Ahop with the slows, with the ebb and flow gets the kill. Lucci gets drowned. I mean, Rob Lucci gets killed by the Devil Fruit user, I guess. I don't know. I don't watch One Piece, but okay. I mean, a nice engage from Matrix to slow down the Yunara for a free kill.
That was a pretty good one, Kevin. But moving away from that, not just seeing the damage output of the Corki, because we have talked about that to death. At least that's how I feel about it at this point. But thinking about that fight, right? I think the problem for the side of Everstone Elite is you see the Fool commit Impale just for the one target, just for Promech, trying to pull that Tahm Kench towards the team, maybe turn that into a positive opportunity. Is Tahm Kench the target you want to be impaling? Probably not. I think that if you are the Fool at this point, you need to wait and you need to look for, okay, what is this Zahen doing? Is anyone truly out of position that I can bring into the Veigar cage, bring into my Corki's damage? And if you don't do that properly, it is going to be an opportunity for this Zahen to punish, especially because you still have the opportunity for that revive available. And we saw, that little bit of synergy, the Corki's huge AoE alongside the Veigar cage is significant. You're seeing it now, Lucci getting absolutely smashed, able to heal it up by virtue of, you can see MQB, Fool might be in a bit of trouble.
Wait, the Fool may be in a bit of trouble here. No, saves the Ixtal's impact. Yeah, nice use of that to get away. Concretos can't really engage without the dreaded return, so has to use that early. But, yeah, I mean, Lucci taking big damage from the Corki, I think. Everstone Elite just have to play a bit more patiently and play around Matrix, but now Feral Eevee getting jumped on. Drops the stun, but gets devoured. Can Reginald and the Fool do enough to make Promech walk away? Feral Eevee invests the flash early. Promech taking big damage, gets stunned into the wall, tanking the turret as well. Can they get the Abyssal Dive off? The Impale misses a bit too late on that. Can Reginald get the slow on Promech? Promech's just going to walk up to the Blast Cone and get away. That's just flash and ulti invested by the side of Everstone Elite, and Promech didn't even need the flash. So that's a pretty big cooldown, a longer cooldown for the side of the Fool, and the flash from the Veigar, who doesn't have any way to escape now in the next team fight. Promech is just making big plays on this top lane to keep their team ahead.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the Fool is just so heavily investing, trying to invest rather, Impale onto this Tahm Kench, and it's just not working out. You know, the previous fight around mid lane, invested the Impale, but then the Charm ended up completely disrupting that Impale opportunity. But this time around, just completely missed times the Impale to pull that Tahm Kench back in for the kill. And yeah, and as I was referring to earlier, both of these teams are waiting for an opportunity to break things open for them. 2K separates Womenphobia from the Everstone Elite, and you can see the impact that's having. Really, it does feel as though, at least in my mind, that the only ones on the side of Everstone Elite who are having somewhat good time right now are Matrix and Ahop, and that's because of how strong this Corki is, that everyone else seems to be suffering.
Walking up for big damage. Lucci taken very low, has to jump out with the ultimate tidal wave invested as the Fool misses the Ixtal's impact, so that is Lucci forced out. I don't know what exactly they're fighting for. I don't think Dragon is up that quickly. It's just another minute. The Fool getting a steal on that, but yeah, like you said, True. I mean, the Corki Nami having a great time, but the rest of the team is kind of struggling. Feral Eevee, pretty quiet game in comparison to last week, and the Fool, like you said, just whiffing every Impale, looking a bit foolish this game.
Yeah, it's hard to contend with, I think. There is that slight delay for Impale. You know, it's not the old one, right, where you would just literally point and click a target and you can pull them back into your team. There is that little bit of a delay. Yes, it's in an AoE, but I think the other thing is that Skarner isn't necessarily the best feeling champion at this given moment. I think that Skarner has eaten a lot of nerfs and hasn't really gotten a lot of luck. So it's kind of hard for the champion to feel successful.
Skarner's about to eat some punishment, gets knocked up, gets dragged back, gets charmed, taken to about half HP. Can they get the Impale off before dying? The knock-up invested, the Ixtal's impact as well. The Blast Code keeps them safe, but now Matrix in a bad spot, getting chased down. The Grim Deliverance onto 3, into the knock-up. Big damage from the Tahm Kench as it's just going to be Everstone Elite getting run down. Double kill for the Zahen. Lucci now running down the Veigar as we see the Impale finally hit a good target. The stun into the wall, but Lucci kept safe by the Wild Growth. Very talented, looking for more, but it's a flash out from the Fool, and it's just a fight in the jungle that Everstone Elite do not win as we see the Devour onto the Skarner. He gets the Impale, gets the knockback, but now Feral in Eevee cannot get enough damage. Promech is just absolutely smurfing this game, it feels, getting every knockup, just making so much chaos, and their team is succeeding with it. Womenphobia now on the push on the tier 2, getting the third dragon onto Soul Point. They are taking every team fight, and now they're taking everything from Everstone Elite, as now maybe Reginald Dwight taking the charm, taken very low by the damage, doesn't have any armor for the shred from the Yunara, is gonna escape just barely, but damn, Everstone Elite are on their last legs, you know, 0 PP on their moves. This Pokemon is going to the Pokemon Center soon because Womenphobia just ran over that fight.
Yeah, I mean, in that situation, and we were just talking about how the only ones that you can play around on the side of the Everstone Elite are Matrix and Ahop. And in that previous fight, they just got completely neutralized. The knockups went through, the Nami got knocked up, I believe, by an Abyssal Dive from Promech. Is either that or a pullback from Guidos. And quietly, this top side of the map has just gotten incremental advantage after incremental advantage, small fight win after small fight win. And now they're a huge problem, right? Promech is kind of unkillable. Guido still has that revive available, and as you were talking about in Champion Select, as Zahen, you need the games to go long, you need the fights to go long, rather, in order for you to have that threat of the passive up, and that's exactly what's happening. The damage output isn't there for the Everstone Elite, especially when the Corki is factored out of the fight.
Big damage onto MQB, who gets caught out. Can the Fool get the Impale off? No, just throws the rock at them, but that is a key pick in the jungle. Now it's a 5v4. They're just going to rush for the Baron. This can be very dangerous, though. Baron very hard to take down, and will shred resistance even more than before, as we see the TP invested from Promech. This is dangerous. It's going down to about 10k now. Conguido's looking for the steal. Reginald trying to frontline. The Ixtal's impact goes in. Can they get the Zahen? The tidal wave goes out as you see the Impale. There's so much CC on him. Can they kill him? They do.
Yeah,
they shut down the Zahen, but now look at Lucci, who's fully unleashed. As you see Matrix trying to kite back, making space. Scion is doing their best.
Delivering her.
Back in. Delivered back in as we see the kills go back. Double kill over to this Aria as Reginald goes down. It's now just Matrix and Feral Eevee who gets knocked wrapped up, and Promech is unkillable in this game. Feral Eevee flashes away, but it's going to be for not as very talented. Cleans it up again. It is this solo lane domination from the side of Womanphobia that turns the fight around. Everstone Elite managed to kill the Zahan, but it is everyone else who is fully enabled in the team fight because everything was burned on the Zahan, and there just was not enough tools for the side of the Everstone Elite to fight back. That is everyone. That's a clean ace for 2 only on the side of Womanphobia. Another just massive fight for them. Even though they kill 1, everyone on this Pokemon party goes down.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's devastating to be the Everstone Elite in this position because you're facing this situation like, okay, we have a numbers advantage. We can force Baron, but I think they're also still acutely aware, like, hey, we're still behind, right? The person that we picked is the person with, like, the least gold value on the enemy team. Yes, Lulu can well enable the Yunara, but we're also not killing any of the members of their team that have these big bounties. They know that Zahen has been a problem, so they throw everything in the kitchen sink into killing the Zahen, making sure the smite isn't present. But that does give Lucci the time to, as you said, stack up, come online, but also the Tahm Kench, kind of an insurmountable meat wall that the entirety of the Everstone Elite have gotten zero answer against. And then also very talented on the Ahri, staying alive the entire time. But I do want to, once again, tip my hat over to Promech, using, what was it, Consume? Sorry, Devour, that's what it is. Devour aggressively to bring Lucci forward into the enemy team. You don't really see an allied Devour go aggressive as Tahm Kench. It almost worked out incredibly well for the Yunara. Unfortunately, Lucci just doesn't have that certain degree of survivability. But we're still seeing Promech have the time of his life, as far as I'm concerned, on this Tahm Kench. Like, as I was saying in Champion Select, at a certain point, Tahm Kench is also just like, okay, well, health value go burr. Let's see, 442 bonus HP from that Heartsteel. And really, no one has an answer for it at the moment. So, obviously, Promech is more than happy with how things are going so far. Soul for the side of Womanphobia is up in less than 30 seconds. And really, Everstone Elite have to walk so carefully towards this river that I feel like it's just so difficult for them to even hope to have this opportunity.
Yeah, it's very dangerous as Dragon's going to spawn right away here. Oh, okay, we see nothing engaged just yet. The Event Horizon invested. That's going to be a cooldown down. Now they're just playing, in the neutral. Oh, we get the hook back onto the Fool who's looking for maybe something. Gets charmed up, taking big damage. Is not very tanky yet. The stun onto the Tahm Kench into the Dark Matter does big damage, but Promech's just going to heal that up. Conquitos now just going in with the Aureate Rush. Pops the ultimate for big damage and healing. Impale onto 2, but on the backside, Townsend is doing big damage as well. Conquitos is just killing everyone, and Matrix is firing back, but just can't get enough. The Revive goes off, but no, the team fight just gets run over as Townsend takes over a triple kill for this Ahri. It felt like everything was invested, and they just still cannot kill Zahan. Very talented on the Ahri, just dances on the backline. The Fox eats the Eevee, and this is going to be likely the game-winning push, the end of the season for Everstone Elite. Going to be here as we see 5 people push onto this turret. The death timers are long. Can Womanphobia take the end here?
Oh, I mean, they absolutely can. Like, you see the death timers. The only one who's going to be up maybe in time is a Hop, and then shortly after that, Feral Eevee. But Womanphobia going straight for the throat, straight for the Nexus, and they are going to wrap this one up for themselves. That is going to mark the end of the Everstone Elite's season.
Hello, fans of the Franchise Premier League. We are back, Season 3 Gauntlet, the last game of tonight, and another best of one now between Womanphobia and Meta Shift League as these two teams battle it out in this Gauntlet bracket to make the last spot in the playoffs that start next week. As we see, already an early trade. Canny swapping blows with Promech as he gets the bear trap on a rope, pulls back Promech for some damage. Already, these teams are eager to show that they belong in the FPL playoffs as we're going to jump, just straight into the early game. True, any thoughts about, what these two teams need to do to win?
Well, I do like that Lucci does have the cleanse here, as I was saying. Like, there are a number of tools that, you know, Leona, not only Leona brings to the table. Leona, you have Jin to follow up with a Deadly Flourish, but then you also have Lilia's Sleep that goes down. You can see up there in top lane, Promek actually having the better end of the trade after being able to make use of the Vorpal Spikes plus the, what do you call it? Gosh, why am I blanking on the name right now?
Halo Blades, that's what you're thinking of.
Halo Blades, thank you, yes. So you just get a ton of damage down. Now here in bot lane,
Oh wait, MQB hits the hook already, roots up the Jin, who immediately burns the cleanse. Now big damage onto Little as well. KO taken low. Lucci just firing back with that Ranger's focus. Yeah, nice level 2 initiative. Just means that they just have a huge health advantage in this early level as Canny and Promek continue to scrap in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing that does suck for Cho'Gath is because you are going to just have to contend with the fact that Kled can remount. And yes, you can get a nice chunk of damage down as a quick trade with those Vorpal Spikes, but yes, you can see Canny able to remount with zero difficulty, if we're being honest with ourselves. But Promek, also, with those Vorpal Spikes, should be more than able to just farm safely under the tower. I think the thing that Promek really has to keep account of is the fact that Canny in this top lane does have the Ignite. Which I think makes sense. You know, Kled as a champion, you just want to fight a whole lot. You're going to get TP from your quests anyway. Yes, it's not the enhanced TP. You don't get the big hold shield out of that. But what you do get is Kled as a shield for when you ult. So I think it's completely fair that Canny as Kled goes for that. Promek, you still have to be careful here. The Kled does have that Ignite, but Cho'Gath able to leverage the damage from those minions out reasonably well. And Canny just wants another remount. You can see that Promek has to walk away.
Canny looking for the level 3 flashes on him though. Promek has to flash in retaliation to escape. Now spies on this ward. MQB looking for the hook likely as Conguito's going for this crab. It is Metashift who has first move. Can they get the stun on anyone? As we see here, Zenith Blade goes in. Taken low is the Zahan who flashes to get out of the Deadly Flourish. It is now Metashift taking some punishment on the other side by Talented, who does have a very low mana bar. So Conguitos secures the crab but takes the flash in payment to make sure they get out safe. As spies looking for this. No, okay, I don't think they're going to go for the kill. They're just going to move to top scuttle.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, I think this is once again another tense situation where neither
MQB gets the hook on the Leona. Keo is safe for now, misses the Deadly Flourish on the Nautilus, who gets stunned up. Lucci now blasting with that Ranger's focus, that level 4 advantage for the Ashes, doing big damage, and the trade again goes in the favor of Womanphobia, who looked like they had a pretty, you know, rough bottom lane in that first game, but are back on, you know, firing on full cylinders, just making this bot lane, you know, so far a very strong position for them. As Canny gets knocked up, he's taken very low, doesn't have the dismount, likely gets killed by that Feral Scream. First blood for Promek, who was on the edge of the aggression, but now Canny goes down a bit too overconfident with that Kled pick.
Yeah, and really it's just the fact that Cho'Gath can borderline, like, get some burst down, right? Like, you get those, like, Vorpal Spikes autos down so fast with the Hail Blades, then you're just able to get the Scream, the Silence down, and it's, like, kind of bursty, yeah, like, especially this early on. And especially when Canny, you know, like, you're playing Kled, you want to get your damage in early, so you do have those double longswords. Yeah, Promek able to make great use of that opportunity here in mid lane, though. Very talented.
Yeah,
and Metashift getting really low.
Taking a lot of damage. As we see, just traded. Metashift still has Flash Ignite, though, but it looks like Conguitos is looking for a gank on this Annie. Will they get the kill here? Metashift has to flash out. Yeah, Dreaded Return is going to get flashed away from. Luckily, Conguitos didn't have the flash due to that earlier play, but that is a good use of that timer from the Zahin to burn the flash.
Yeah, I mean, Conguitos doesn't really seem like the Zahen might have as easier a time this game as they did in the previous, at least as far as those early indicators go. But talking about having an easier time, Lucci and MQB seem a lot more comfortable in this lane. Seem a lot more comfortable in this lane as opposed to the previous one. But I think the other part of that is that, at least as far as champions like go, Little, like, you see Leona and you think, like, oh, well, you know, I'm just going to play Leona. I'm just going to play Leona into Nautilus. Leona is a Nautilus counter, but the problem with that is that it's only as Nautilus counter insofar as, like, your aggression is concerned, because you can hook through wave and Nautilus can't. But if you're not able to find those aggression opportunities, it's kind of hard for you to just go forward there. And we did see Meta Shift there look for the kill onto Very Talented, but you are able to stay alive. Now up here in top lane, Promech trying to stay alive versus the unabated aggression from Canny. Early Dragon does go over to the side of Women Phobia, and they are able to get that early Infernal for themselves. Yeah, things going reasonably well for Women Phobia here in this early game. Yes, they have been pressured, as we see with Kinguidos, with the Very Talented, but things are relatively healthy for them, especially this time around in that bottom lane. And QB is going to look for a hook.
Okay, the hook onto Little, who's taking a little bit of damage.
I mean, here.
Yeah, I mean, Leona with the Eclipse is just so damn tanky, but they're trying to go back a little bit more unsafe way. Lucci zoning them off with the volley. So, I mean, the Leona going to lose a little bit of XP on that. As we see Canny and Promech pretty even. I mean, about a wave on this Kled as Spees looking for this invade. Can they get it? No, it's the smite going over to Conquitos and now gets the knock up. Spees now running around, trying to dodge, but gets hit with that dreaded return. Has to flash out. Talented missing the combo on them, but that still is that Lilia forced out. And I think this is exactly what Woman Phobia are banking on, is for that Zahen to hit level 6 and be able to duel the Lilia. And, you know, we saw last game, Conquitos on the Zahen was so damn dangerous. Can they get another game like that? I'm not sure, but it's ramping up to that point, and I think MetaShift League have to be careful of that Zahen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, I think Zahen is just another one of those champions right now where if they do have a little bit of an early lead, it's going to feel kind of insurmountable. It's going to feel very hard to deal with. And the fact that Very Talented was there immediately to just get the punish through meta shifts, a little bit of damage, means that the advantage that Spies was playing around, you know, knowing that Zahen doesn't have flash, well, that's kind of been flipped around. As you can see, you just have to be, you know, ready, right? Like, you already saw it earlier.
Shift walking up.
Yeah, there it is.
The Tibber, big damage. Can they get the electrocute proc? I don't think it's enough. Yeah, Spies misses the bowling ball, so it's not going to be much after that, as we see the Zahen sees the Lilia mid, going for this blue buff. Can they make this steal happen? I mean, they are pushed up pretty far, but the bottom lane of Woman Phobia has the priority to make it to this fight if they choose to. As yeah, it's just going to be a clean steal. Lilia doesn't even see it. The Zahen on the blue buff, so just a nice advantage being accrued for Conguitos on this Zahen.
In top lane, you're seeing again, like, Canny not having the best time if you're not going to land the bear trap on the rope. Like, it's not just... Actually, no, I don't think it has previous ones on it anymore, but the pullback does have a fair chunk of damage on it as well, so missing out on that does mean that Proback is relatively happy with how things are going. You can see that Cho'Gath does have the Boots of Swiftness in the inventory as well, just making sure that you're able to maneuver around better in this lane. And he still has the Kled available, so he does have that charge up if necessary.
Oh, the charge being invested here. They knock it onto Conguitos, who's taken to about half HP. Canny doing big damage, gets the Ignite as well. Just goes down. Conguitos gets ripped apart by the Ignite. The arrow flies by, but it doesn't hit anything. And now we see the Leona with the Zenith Blade. Promech trying to run out of this. Gets hit with the Lilting Lullaby and is going to go to sleep. A nice knockup, but it doesn't matter. Little is just going to stun up the Cho'Gath, and this is likely going to be a kill for Metashift. Another Zenith Blade for the slowdown. Metashift gets the kill, and what was looking like a pretty free grubs means it's 2 kills instead for Metashift, who secure the last one. A nice collapse from the side of Metashift to turn back what was a slowly losing game. That is going to be the second Void Grub. Okay, they actually got 2 out of the 3, so that's going to be big for them. And Canny's going to get free time on this top lane for a little bit, and Spies, as well as Metashift, getting some much-needed gold and experience to get ahead of their lane opponents.
Yeah, so there is this general discussion that I've seen. Oh, remount means Canny's able to just stay safe and stay alive. Oh, Metashift, that is a whole lot of damage.
Okay, dodges the twofold hex as they're just going to run down Talented, who has to burn the across the veil, as we see the Tibbers invested as well. Metashift just able to push out the Aurora, who already invested the TP, so Aurora's going to have to take the back here, and I think this means more free time for Metashift as long as they don't get ganked. But now KO in some danger here. Lucci shooting the arrows into it. Can MQB get the hook? Doesn't look like they're able to get it, as we see now Metashift forcing up the Aurora. Little is back in lane for this counter dive, as we see here. Canny and Promech just keep fighting. Promech does not have the remount, though, as we see Promech does hit the knockup, can get the feast if they have the execute threshold.
And the thing I want to get into is like this discussion around like generally around like how valuable is grubs at the moment. And, like I do know that as far as like higher low. Oh
Oh
wait,
wait,
still
Zenith
going
played in
in.
on MQB. This is a very tanky Nautilus though. Lucci's getting stacked up, doing the damage. Depth charge onto the Jhin. Little has to flash out now. Conguidos is here, but so is Spies. But it looks like Spies are just going to run away as the Solar Flare is invested. Little tried to Zenith Blade out, but it's not going to do damn much as Lucci getting the first kill for themselves in this game on already the BS Sword, looking to build that bigger item as MQB just gets hit with a little bit of damage. Metashift trying to back up their team, but I mean, fully positive play for the side of Womanphobia. That bot lane play means they get the second dragon of this game.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that you're seeing Metashift to here like show up here on the Annie. Like, I understand you want presence. I understand there's probably discussion in comms of like, hey, can we contest? Hey, can we turn for this fight? But you, and even if you do have stun available on Annie, you don't have Tibbers available. There's not much of a front line as well because the Leona died, so you do have to walk.
They're just gonna fight this. Yeah, they get the chain CC onto this Zahan, who pops the ultimate, but it gets some healing. But the ignite does so much. The Lilia picks that one up, but the curtain call doing big damage to the hook to keep him away. But MQB is just gonna get run down by the reindeer. Lilia picking up a second kill for this game. Spies doesn't get the dragon, but is gonna pick up the kills and the money instead. So I mean, dragon goes over, but a bit of a gold lead now in the hands of Metashift. Can they make that trade worth it in the long run? That's the real question that they have to answer, True, because I mean, they set back the Zahan as we see the flashing from Metashift for the Tibbers. Big damage to the flash traded from Talented to get out. Ignite burning, but not going to do enough. Little looking for more, but they can't get in range for the Solar Flare. Metashift doing a great job to keep down the Aurora. And I mean, the lanes are winning, but the objectives are still in the favor of Womanphobia. It's going to be a close game, I think, here, True.
Yeah, it does seem really delicate between both these teams. Like even with that kill score in the favor of MSL, as you said, it can be difficult for them to be successful just because you do have those neutral objectives in the favor of Womanphobia. Like the lanes aren't horrible for the side of Womanphobia either. Like the Ashe is more than healthy. One more stack on the Cull before it's fully completed. But then in addition to that, like yes, Aurora's getting forced out of lane, but Aurora isn't dying. And then as far as Promech is up there in the top lane is concerned, he's just happy to farm things out, start stacking up that HP. So yeah, like, yes, you're down on kills, but no, you shouldn't be worrying all that much. I do want to draw attention to one thing, though, just because I feel like this is a bit of an issue that I'm starting to see with Womanphobia. They're overcommitting in losing situations. Like, in both situations, like shortly after the dragon, but also around the grubs, you're facing a spot where you need to just communicate, like, hey, let me go. Like, if you're Conguidos, just like, let me go. You can't save me. Like, around the grubs, it's like, okay, well, we're caught out. Everyone just spread. Cho'Gath, don't come down. Right? But then here in bottom, or towards the dragon pit, Promech and Canny in a bit of a slap around fight.
Promech getting taken a bit low, but Canny, I don't think they can execute them. Yeah, Promech's just gonna walk out of that with that silence and yeah, pretty chill.
Yeah, and it's just to like continue finishing out the thought here. Oh wait, no, he's going for it.
He's gonna go for it, the charge in, but it doesn't hit, just barely. That recall was perfectly timed by Promech as he's just gonna TP back. Ulti wasted by Canny for that.
You feel so bad with that happening. Now he has to
flash out from that knockup, and now it's just going to go down to the Devourer here, very likely. Promech. Oh, actually, we get the dismount or remount, as you said. Canny now looking to turn this back around, but Conguidos is there now. Spies sees it on the top lane, and now he's going for this Nautilus. Can he do enough? Gets the bowling ball. MQB taken very low, but I don't think that's enough to get the kill. Now KO in a 1v1 against Lucci. Lucci is just popping off with that Devil Fruit and just going for the Jhin. I don't think KO can fight this back. As we see now, the collapse onto Lucci. Maybe it was just enough of a bait. Spies going for it. Curtain call called as we see the Zenith Blade hook onto that Ashe, and KO is going to snipe him for that bullet. Fourth shot not needed. As we see here, the bottom lane play goes in the favor of MSL as they saw Conguidos on the top side, but it is traded over for this Rift Herald.
And to like finally finish the thought I was going to say before I get into that, it's just I do think that Womanphobia are overcommitting in an attempt to save Conguidos in situations where they don't need to, and it's just spelled, like, I think at least in my mind, 2 free kills for the side of MSL. Now what happens here on bottom lane is, yeah, like in the 1v1, Lucci is going to have a way happier time versus this Jhin, and you did see how effective that Ashe was up against Jhin or KO on the Jhin, but unfortunately You're not sitting in your lane all alone. The Lilia as well as the Leona come down for the punish, and they do get the free kill, but you did see the very quick response from Conguitos, from Promech to go straight onto the Rift Herald and get something for themselves off of it. So they do, Women Phobia do now have the Rift Herald available to themselves, and maybe they can create some better pressure on the map, and it looks like they're proceeding to do so.
Yep. It's going to be the Rift Herald invested on the bottom side. Lilia is going to take this time to get some counter jungling done. Will Woman Phobia use this chance to go for a second charge? Conguitos is still in the area looking to see if anyone from MSL face checks this. As we're going to see, no, the Herald just going to walk it in. I think Keo and Little, maybe Keo, KO. The Jin's going to take the kill on this Rift Herald to make sure the second charge doesn't go off. But yeah, it's looking like they're moving towards this mid lane. They're setting up for the Dragon. They want the bottom lane push before that. This is going to be soul point if MSL choose to not fight it here.
I mean, I think in that regard, MSL, they kind of have to fight it. Metashift doesn't have TP, though, so it's going to take a little bit for the Annie
Wait,
to
but it's the charge in, as we see here. Can the Kled hit anything? Solar Flare onto the Ash. Conguitos taken in the CC as we see Spies getting some big damage. Looping Lullaby activated, but a huge ultimate from Conguitos to get the healing as we see Aurora goes down. The Cho'Gath is here. Metashift getting fired down on, and Spies gets run down by the Cho'Gath. Lilting Lullaby not in time as Canny getting ripped apart by the arrows. Again, it is Metashift who try first, but again, it's OPH, the Woman Phobia, getting the fight back as it's going to be a 2-for-5. Ace and Dragon Soul point. It was just a beautiful fight from Conguitos with that ultimate, making so much space for the team. The almost two item Ash just firing on all cylinders. I mean, some trade kills back for MSL, but it's not enough. They are on death's door with that Dragon Soul take. It's looking very dangerous in about 5 minutes here.
Yeah, and I think in this particular situation, what I was getting into, like, with saying, like, it's going to take a little bit for Metashift to get there because you don't have TP. Metashift takes the Hex Gate into the jungle, but the moment that Hex Gate channel finishes, Canny hits the go button. They all go straight for MQB, and we're seeing kind of the problem that we discussed in Champion Select with the composition that MSL have, which is a general lack of backline access. Yes, they ran straight onto one target, but they're not able to get onto the Ashe very easily. The Aurora looks for the flank. They turn for the Aurora. They end up getting her, but it's not before Aurora gets off the full combo out and, you know, just blasts the entire team with that Between Worlds. Conguitos is able to have that revive ready, although it doesn't end up using it. And then Ashe also just free hitting, but also landing a really good arrow in the middle of the fight. I think it was onto the Kled to really just stop up a whole lot of aggression at a certain point. And it's just a horrible fight for the side for MSL at that very moment. And it's just because nothing came together for them. They wanted certain things to...
Spies a little bit caught out here. They don't have flash. They're going to get dragged back by the Zahen. Solar Flare to disengage, but Little gets stunned up, so he can't help his teammate. Lucci picks up another one because Spies goes too far, greeting for the crab, and they're gonna go down for it. I mean, there's no, objectives immediately up. Baron's up in 40. I mean, the death times are still pretty short, but still, it's looking like the breaks are slipping for MSL as they're starting to lose control of this game. Mid lane tier 1 getting taken very low. Metashift invests the ulti, didn't actually get the pop-off damage from Tibbers on Talented, but they're going to break down this top turret. I mean, Metashift's like really the only person keeping their team back in the game because on the side lane, Canny already had to back, can't actually match Promech's Cho'Gath in the side lane.
Yeah, and I do think that this is kind of just... It feels a bit desperate, at least now that like losing that dragon, going down or facing a situation where the enemy team is already at soul point, by the 20-minute mark. It feels like MSL, they're really starting to feel the pressure. Like, the gold deficit is not insurmountable, right? It's 2.5k roughly speaking, which isn't the worst gold deficit to be at. And there are bright spots for Metashift's team. Like, I think that they had a really bad fight for themselves around that dragon, and off of it, they're just a little bit tilted. They're trying to like, okay, well, what can we get? How can we accelerate?
Wait, Metashift getting collapsed on here. MQB misses the hook. Bowling ball onto 2. Spies gets a lot of damage with that swirl seed, but Metashift taken even lower by the burst from the Aurora. Had to kite back and just eat the Aurora's damage there, but I think that's going to be this end of the play. Yeah, true. Like you said, some good points, but it looks like they're targeting that one good point as Metashift almost dies there.
Yeah, and really it was that swirl seed. Oh. No, you're
Okay,
fine.
looks Talented does have
Oh.
ulti. Maybe they'll go for the dive, as Metashift is going to stay. Drops the blue trinket for vision. Metashift wants this cannon minion and to protect this turret, but Talented, if they hit the combo, that's likely a dead Annie. Weirding and Twofold Hex both miss, so I think right now Metashift is safe, but it's looking dangerous. Talented likely going to pick up that top lane tier 1 there.
Yeah, there's really not much
okay,
that Metashift can do. Yeah, like there's not much that Metashift can do, and I think in that situation, he's taking them back in the hopes to bait Talented to like throw down in between worlds or just throw down like just anything, like the weirding or 2 full text, just to try to stop the back or get the kill, and then you try to stun the Aurora under turret, and like that's your opportunity. But very talented just says, okay, well, you know, you can get your back off. I'll take the turret for free. There's no problem there. And now, MSL, this is kind of your make or break point, right? You are 40 seconds out, just under that, away from Dragon. You need to set up for this. Kenny has TP.
Oh,
you really
wait,
can't.
Promac getting the damage on Metashift, who has to invest the stun. Conguitos on the other side. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow hits, and it's going to be a dead Annie here, devoured by the Cho'Gath. That is a key player, Metashift, the star player of the team of Metashift, goes down right before the Dragon Soul spawns, as we see the TP invested by Promac. Means that Canny could maybe TP and turn around the fight if they manage to get it off. But they're just going to go for the turret plates. Promac doing big damage. They don't have the Devourer. Canny's going to try to walk it out. As we see in the mid lane, it's going to be a fight over the mid wave. Canny, I don't think, can actually fight this. It's just going to get run down. Slow into the knockup, into Promac, just walking him down. Dash out from Canny to try to escape. Little now here to make the backup. Canny can't get the bear trap pull as we see the knockup onto Promac. Canny is just doing big damage as KO gets the root. Little trying to do as much as they can. They're going to invest everything for this kill and give up the Dragon Soul here. KO walking up, trying to do damage. There's no real armor on this Cho'Gath, but they still cannot kill them. And that is Hextech Soul traded for, you know, just a tier 2 turret, which I don't think is really worth, as it's going to be just a permanent buff for just a little bit of gold onto that Kled. And even the tier 2 turret on the bot side being traded over means that I think Woman Phobia are pretty much in check for MSL, because they can't respond to anything that Woman Phobia are doing right now. Wait, is this the Baron? Wait, it's a sneaky Baron angle. Okay, no, it gets spotted by Promac. Canny taken very low. The Devour is available. They get this chain CC, but Canny is going to likely die to the Devour. No, he gets out with that buckshot, as we see Enchanted Crystal Arrow stun up the Lilia, as we see the TP coming in from Talented, who's got caught into 3 people, though. The team is not there, and it's going to be a kill for Keo. Maybe this is the turnaround they needed. Canny has the TP and the charge. A nice route into the stun. Metashift one-shots onto Lucci. I spoke too soon, as now the curtain call gets called. Slows down Conguitos. Can they get the kill on them? Who gets the drag back, is trying to fight this out. MQB is trying to play defense for their quarterback as Conguitos gets rooted up. Canny jumps in with that bear trap as they get the big heal from the Grim delivers. Conguito taking low in the 4th shot into the shutdown. Jin actually gets it. They have the damage. This is 4 kills for the side of Metashift. They're going to take this straight to the Baron. What looked like, you know, start of game over actually is the start of the game for Woman Phobia, as they're going to just, you know, Metashift just going to get this dragon or this Baron Nashor after what was a, you know, astoundingly bad TP from Very Talented. That is a big swing in the gold. They actually have a gold advantage now after this Baron buff.
Yeah, I mean, like as I was saying, like as I was saying earlier, it felt like Metashift, they were playing a bit with their heads cut off. They were playing a little bit desperate, but in their, like, I guess, overzealousness, right? I'm referring to Women Phobia at this point. They did show like multiple members down towards bottom lane, and we knew that Metashift, they had people towards top, and it felt like for Women Phobia, it felt like oh no, like they're trying to rush Baron, like we need to send an immediate response, and Promac is the only person there. Metashift is like, okay, well, we'll just take the turn here. We know that you guys aren't back yet. We know the Aurora isn't here yet. We can just get the kill on the Cho'Gath and then go back to our business. And then, like, what I'm referring to with that whole idea of desperation, Very Talented TPing in and thinking that the Baron had way more progress done on it than it actually did. And things just go from bad to worse, where I think that if you are the side of Women Phobia in this situation, if you just let the Baron go, or you just, like, say, if, like, Promac just says, hey, like, the Baron's actually still super healthy, guys, take your time, right? Like, don't rush in here, coordinate, figure out how to approach the situation. But that's not what happens.
Oh, wait.
Now,
Copy
oh,
there.
man.
Meta Shift actually pulling the full combo on Kogitos. He's taking
die.
Bear, the Ignite as well. Grim Deliverance invested, but they're not getting enough healing. Meta Shift just needs one more Q. The Disintegrate melts Conguitos on Zahen as they try to go for the cheeky 1v1, but Meta Shift is just too damn strong. They have the main character energy as it is the team Meta Shift, and that's going to be jungler down. The bottom lane is equalized by Canny. Can Meta Shift do more with that kill?
Okay, let's be honest here. Like, Meta Shift has 20 MR from Boots. That was a bad. Sorry, King Widows. Yeah, King Widows had 20 MR from Merc Treads. That was a bad choice. Like, you can see that Meta Shift has 18 Magic Pen from Boots as well. Like, your Magic Pen is effectively non-existent, right? At that point, you know the Annie is doing quite well for herself, and you know that you're 2 levels down. If you're banking on getting the revive off when you know that Annie is super bursty and you are not snowballed, that's just a mind-boggling choice, at least to me, from Guidos. Because if you don't get that off, you're going to look a bit moronic. Like, it's just a bit confusing as to why you're thinking, like, yes, I can go for this 1v1, when really none of the cards are in your favor. You don't have any backup.
She looking
Now,
for
like,
some poke onto Little.
It's 90 seconds before Elder. Like, I feel like neither of these teams should be putting themselves in situations where, like, right now you're in that gray period where if someone does die, they should respawn before the objective comes up. But really, both of these teams should just be angling for vision control, and it is Meta Shift that has the ability to do so. And it feels like Women Phobia, they're playing things a bit slow. They're trying to advance now for that vision control, as I mentioned. They need to be a lot more coordinated approaching this objective. Elder will be a huge swing for them if they are able to secure it.
Absolutely. I mean, the 5v5, I think I'm still favoring Woman Phobia due to that Hextech Soul. But one thing we noticed is that the third item is completed for both the Kled and the Jhin. Can Annie get the Rabadon's death cap before this fight? I'm not sure if they can. Meta Shift I don't think has time to go back unless they really want to make a risky contest for this Elder Dragon. Yeah, Meta Shift, not having that Rabadon's is actually pretty big for this team fight, as, that would have been a full item up on that Aurora. As we see here, Lucci chunked out a little bit by the poke. The mid lane push is in favor of Woman Phobia, but they're going to get routed here by the side of, Meta Shift have the push, but they're going to get routed. As we see here, many members from the side of Woman Phobia are kind of hiding in this death bush. Canny looking for that face check. I don't know if they should do that. Little now here as well, getting some vision here. It's very tense situation near this bottom river as, the wave goes over to the side of Meta Shift again. But I think this is going to be a start. They're going to try to burn it down.
Yeah, I mean, like, the dragon is up, and you do see that there is a control ward in the pit for the side.
Fight is going to go over. The Solar Flare misses as we see the big damage over.
Meta Shift looking for a flank.
Portal over as we see the flank go happen. Oh, my screen froze as we see here the Grim Deliverance on the end, who just is going to go down. The shutdown over to this Annie is now very big as a 4v5. Now Canny trying to make it work. Little on the other side. Lucci now firing the arrows, and I think this is going to be a wipe from the side of Woman Phobia. They got the Annie. They got the main character, and once the main character goes down, there's no remainder for this episode as we see Lucci run down Spies, who has to pop the Zanyas and tries to go for more, and it's just a clean team ace for the side of Woman Phobia. They're gonna get the Elder. That was just not even close of a fight as Meta Shift took the wrong portal at the wrong time. Elder to Woman Phobia. Mid lane push for them as well, and it's looking even worse, more worse for wear than 5 minutes ago when they got Soul. This is going to be a very, very difficult time for MSL to come back from this.
Yeah, especially because the Elder hasn't even been taken yet. You can see that Baron is going to be spawning in under 30 seconds by the time this Elder Dragon goes down. And 2 members pushing in towards the base there, Lucci and MQB. They aren't able to take the turret, but with that Elder buff, I would say that Women Phobia should be completely uncontested in approaching this Baron that's up and now under 15 seconds. But talking about how that Elder fight went, it felt like Meta Shift, with that, quote-unquote main character energy that you're talking about, Kebin, was looking for a Flash Tibbers as Annie. But the problem is, like, you see that Hexgate, you see that Annie go over, And it's like, okay, well, like, let's just pull the trigger on the ante. That's exactly what I was referring to as we were getting into this game. The ability to just pick off a primary target. And when you are the side of MSL in this game, all of the pieces need to be in your favor for you to take a fight. And if your Annie, this guy who is so important for your team composition, gets zeroed out, you hard lose the fight, you hard lose the objective, and now MSL, they might just hard lose the game after losing both, or losing out on both big buffs. It's just a catastrophic mistake to make in that situation. And now Women Phobia, they're so well enabled to just group up and push these lanes down. Man, and it does seem like, you know, now with all that gold injected straight into their veins, Women Phobia should have all the confidence in the world to just push forward here. There's nothing that can really be catching them. I think if Metashift needs to be successful, wants to be successful in these fights, the person pulling the trigger needs to be, like, the Leona needs to be the Kled looking for a flank. You can't just all just run straight in like you're a death ball, not into this composition. You are going to get punished, and we've seen it happen, you know, twice, thrice now. They're not going to find an opportunity for themselves. They are just going to die out slowly. They're still contending with that Elder buff, and I don't think that Women Phobia want to let this go. Kenny still pushing in the side lane, starting to channel the back, the TP coming through.
Curtain call called as it's just doing no damage. Spies looking for an angle on the side, but Promech getting the knock up to zone. The turrets are paper as Metashift gets a huge stun, gets the kill on Conguitos. Can they turn this fight? Little taken low as we see the Between Worlds doing big damage, and no, it's just not enough. The Elder executes, come back, triple kill for Talented. It was a hard fought loss in this game for Metashift, as unfortunately Women Phobia are the underdogs and they killed the main character. It's going to be them advancing to playoffs in this gauntlet after what we thought true was maybe a miracle fight for Metashift to come back, a miracle Baron, but one fight after another they could not win against the power of the underdog buff, and it's going to be, again, Women Phobia. We saw them both games tonight having that streamed game buff as well. They're making it to playoffs, just, you know, barely winning in both best of ones.
I mean, okay, well, let's be honest. The first game was a bit less of it.
Sorry, they barely made it to playoffs, but they won the best of ones. Yeah, they made it look good.
I mean, this one was a bit more touch and go, especially with that throw around the Baron. But Metashift